I think that my way of thinking about what needs to be done in school systems in order for them to be able to serve every student has changed from the time I came to Norwalk until the time that I'm leaving. Not only is it important on how a system organizes itself in order to support achievement, but that the emphasis has to be on what is actually taking place in the classroom. If there is good and powerful teaching that takes place, and that is replicated from one classroom to the next, then obviously the school is going to perform at high levels. And if you have that consistent in all of the schools, then the district is going to perform at high levels. If data teams don't take the results of their inquiry into student performance and have it impact what is going on in the classroom, then all that you have is a bunch of people sitting around the table talking about student data. But if it doesn't result in good teaching, changes in teacher practice, then you're not going to see the results that you need to see. I think the whole experience has been rewarding. I wouldn't be able to single out one year from the next and say, 2004 was really a banner year. I think that what I've taken a good deal of satisfaction from is that when I first came to Norwalk and the board first began discussing seriously the work of student achievement, we crafted an instructional plan as the basis for how the work was going to be guided. And in addition to that, the elements that we talked about were the importance of developing a systemic way of doing things. So in a sense, the early conversations about what it ought to look like helped to frame the work that took place over time. And you don't make the work of data teams, for example, real to teachers in terms of what it's going to do for me and my kids when I'm in my classroom. It's hard to develop a sense of identification about that. When you look at multiple elements at the same time, which is what you have to do from the balcony view, what you're trying to do is to create understanding from the people on the dance floor about, here's the big picture. We had a lot of work to do when I got here. We had an awful lot of work to do. And in some ways we had to try to take it one step at a time. So the first major task was the revision of curriculum. And that was a huge undertaking that was accomplished really in a relatively brief period of time, 5 years. And we revised every content area. Now when you are involved in so many different things, people can get overwhelmed. So you have to be careful about that. I was in a kindergarten class one time, and I was watching a teacher work with a kindergarten class in creating understanding about shapes. And wonderful teacher, and she did a powerful lesson. And you saw these 5-year-olds who were discovering things, making connections for themselves, creating understanding for themselves. And it was just so much fun to see. And I talked to the teacher afterwards, and she said, you had a lot to do with the way I think about my teaching. And I looked at her because I had not engaged her in conversations directly. But she said, in listening to what it was that you had to say, in hearing at convocation what you felt we as a district needed to concentrate on, it made me a more reflective teacher, and I think a better teacher. And that was one of the boy, am I glad I became a superintendent moments. I can tell you what I hope for, but whether or not it's made that kind of an impact, I don't know. And it's really along the lines of what that teacher said to me. Don't you know you're responsible for this?